Yeah, these women are dressed immodestly. Hello, friends. Trace amounts of science. Today, I need to talk about King of the Hill with you. It's one of my favorite TV shows ever, and I found the perfect episode to talk about as it relates to neckbeards, inceldom, relationships in general, which seems to be something that a lot of my audience identifies with. It's season 6, episode 6. I'm with Cupid, where Bobby, he really does descend down to the depths of neckbeardery and somehow manages to find his way back to the top. It's a wonderful display of character writing and what not to do. And maybe even how to bounce back, so I'll let it speak for itself. So we open up with the boys in the alley, and Dale holds up a pig's heart, which he's gotten Nancy for Valentine's Day, so I guess it's Valentine's Day. And he suggests a couple of different options on how to present it.
Next to her pillow in the morning, or the front seat of her car.
So let me know which one you guys would pick, in the car, in the bed. I could go either way. They both sound mutually horrific, so you can't lose as far as I'm concerned. Then a mail truck pulls up with a mail lady, and Boomhauer hops on board, saying something about overnight delivery.
Talking about an old special delivery, you know what I'm saying? I don't guarantee the overnight, too, man.
So, as we know well, in King of the Hill, they tend to use every part of the animal. So, the mail lady thing, it's going to come back into the episode later. We're not dealing with a Family Guy situation. Here, let's cut to nothing. Did you enjoy that? You'll never see it again. It might be a blessing in disguise. Okay, we're not here to talk about Family Guy. Let's go. So we are getting to see how everybody displays their love, and Bill's display of love is to be depressed and go into his house and cry.
Yeah, poor Boomhauer running around like a fool. I could just cry for him.
So Peggy comes out trying to establish the A-plot of the episode with, of course, her own child and Hank's Bobby, and Joseph, who is, quote-unquote, Dale's kid.
You're all dressed up. You kids going to the dentist?
Do you often dress up to go to the dentist, Hank? I don't know, man. I can't imagine putting on my best shirt to go bleed all over. So it's explained that you gotta get a carnation at school for Valentine's Day, or else you're gonna end up looking like a friendless loser. There's some ranting about the floral industrial complex, which totally does exist, and is trying to sell you flowers. And then Hank, of course, being the good dad that he is, he's like, look, if you don't get any flowers, call me.
If you don't have any flowers by lunch, just start coughing and go to the nurse's office. I'll pick you up.
It's really big brain time. He's such a good dad, dude. And he's assistant manager, so he can do those things, you know. And yeah, it looks like Bobby's not gonna need to be picked up from the principal's office today.
Call the principal, someone's smoking.
We start out with him getting the carnation immediately.
Bobby, did you save me a spot? There's always gonna be a special place in my heart and on my shirt for you, Connie.
Connie is his previous love interest, and they did have a breakup, but it was very adult. They decided to remain friends, and she doesn't seem to be jealous at all, so good. This is exceptionally mature for both of them. So we make it another 5 steps, and in contrast to Bobby's, smooth schmoozing, Joseph, he goes a bit of a different way. He got hit with a sack of fucking puberty, I'll tell you that much. He sees Charisse, his love interest, talks about smelling her scrunchie. He's very neckbeardy in this moment.
She's so tall and her braces are so shiny. Do you think she caught me sniffing her scrunchie that time?
So Bobby, he's just trying to puff up his boy, right? He gives him all of his carnations, and that leads to Joseph looking cool enough for his love interest, limerence, object to pin a flower on his shirt. Bobby was willing to put himself down, look like a complete flowerless virgin, like a true Giga Chad. He's like, I don't even care. It doesn't matter to me. This is for my dude. And you love to see it, honestly. By the way, a bunch of us are gonna make fun of the janitor later. Bring something to throw.
You totally rock.
That took courage.
Yeah, these women are dressed immodestly.
Because my widow man has been such a grown-up, no babysitter.
Is having no babysitter such a good idea, though? Especially when you live next door to a depression hole. He's probably just gonna play troll dolls and stay in his room, but he might burn the house down. Or he might have a life-changing experience, but not in the weird way. We'll see about that next.
Think you could just check in on him, make sure everything's okay?
Can do.
Bill, not now.
Hello, small, young, impressionable child. Can I trauma dump for you all night while your parents are gone? Bobby's just deadpan expression kills me. Don't tell my dad you stopped by. Just tries to slam the door. Bill's belly's caught in it. So, while Bill is wedged in the doorway like the blob, he asks about Connie's relationship with Bobby and if she's in there, and Bobby explains that they broke up and it's no big deal and they would still be friends after all that. And Bill has this to say.
Friends. Yeah, I thought Lenore and I would still be friends, but here I am all alone.
Bobby acquiesces and says that he's gonna have dinner with Bill, and Bill's like, great, we're gonna go to a buffet and I'll fetch my sweatpants. If someone informs you that they're going to put on sweatpants to take you out somewhere, you have to inform them that you're no longer available. That's not gonna happen.
When I come here alone, they stick me at the table behind the big screen TV.
So here we are at Cooligans. Bobby's gonna have a life-changing conversation. Bobby, not having a good time with any of this. Bill is rude to the waitress, and he's essentially horrified by all of the trauma that is being dumped into his 10-year-old little head. So yes, Bill goes on about his beardy tendencies and how he's given up and why Bobby should also give up. And there are some subtle signs here that Bill, there's a reason that he doesn't do well with the fairer sex. And his treatment of the waitress is one example. His wiping his mouth, picking his ear, and then looking at the resulting combination in the napkin might be another. But he doesn't identify any of those things. The problem has to be outside of himself. But in the end, unfortunately, Bill does win Bobby over to the dark side.
You could drive yourself crazy trying to figure out all the reasons women are laughing at you.
You could drive yourself crazy thinking about all the ways that women are laughing at you, but most of us don't, and I think that's the magic in the whole thing. But Bobby is swayed by that argument because humor is how he defines himself, as we saw in most of his earlier interactions with the girls. So now Bill has pushed the secret button, Bobby's worldview has been completely collapsed into a little black pill, and he decides to eat that as well as some chicken wings. All you can eat though, hey. Bill was able to accomplish within 30 seconds what Elliot Rodger failed to accomplish with an entire novel, 140 pages. Go check that out on the channel if you'd like. I'd appreciate it. So we get a little cutaway here, and it shows Peggy and really a sense of entitlement. There might be some ego there, a bit of leg beardery going on, but I'm sure that's something that we could explore in a later video if you guys would like. Although she does do a hell of a windmill, doesn't she?
It's not over. Hey, come on, windmill. Come on, windmill. Windmill.
So Bobby and Bill decide to go from the buffet to Bill's house. That's some good alliteration. Bill's abode. And we get a look at his beard nest here. My God, it's disgusting. What do you imagine it smells? Please don't actually imagine what it smells like in there. We're gonna audibly gag. I did edit in the body pillow. That's not actually in the thing, but I imagine it to be there at all times. In my head, it's always there. So yeah, come on into Bill's beard nest. Keep your shoes on if you want to keep your socks clean. So Bill and Bobby are watching Bill's wedding video. He states, this is 2 weeks before she started cheating on him. Those were the good old days. That half a month, oh boy. We better hang on to that forever, Bill. So he swings Bobby even more to his side when Bobby asks, do you think another cute Asian girl's gonna move in next door? Bill says, no, it's one chance at love. That's how it goes.
Screw that up, you're gonna be alone forever.
During the next transition, we get a little bit closer to the floor, and I think that's interesting because it's showing Bill and Bobby becoming the worm-like beings that they now perceive themselves to be. Eventually, we will be subterranean. So, Bill and Bobby are comparing letters that may or may not have existed once upon a time, at least in Bill's case. He says, oh, I got a letter that said I love me from Lenore, but I had to destroy it before it destroyed me. He's basically undermining Bobby's confidence at every single step. He's doing the whole, incels.is drag you down into the mud and you'll never be able to escape thing. And it seems to be working. He offers Bobby a shirt after he spills ice cream on it, so now Bobby's dressing like him. Hopefully we're going to get a good old Hank Bois at some point. I would at the sight of that. Jesus. I'm going to cut it in there myself.
Let's get you cleaned up and home. You'll probably want to start sleeping soon.
The way he throws the shirt and, like, has a little smile on his face, doesn't it give off some sinister vibes? Like, Bill knows what he just did to this 10-year-old. It's not good, dude. I'm deeply uncomfortable in that moment. Thank you for allowing me to share. So Hank and Peggy arrive home from their two-step contest, and they hear crying from inside. They're panicked. Oh my god, they left their child alone and he's crying. This isn't good, but it's just Bobby dressed up like Bill on the couch. Bill lamenting the lost Lenore, similar to One the Raven, and Bobby crying about Connie. We don't get the Hank Hill blah, but I'm gonna cut it in.
Bobby?
Bobby points out that Bill never found another love, and Peggy has this elucidating sentence to say.
The only thing you need to know about Bill Dauterive is to stay away from him.
So you know all of these things and the world that you live in, and you still ask that guy to go and check in on your child who you knew was alone. You saw him in the rearview mirror, running up the driveway as soon as you left. Do you remember? You're a terrible parent. In this instance, especially.
If she would just love me again, I would build her a beautiful cage and never let her out.
The cage looks a lot like a radiator. This is sort of the shifting where Joseph is reaching out to women and actually being successful, and Bobby, on the other hand, is just completely given up, lamenting Connie and drinking hundreds of chocolate milks. He will be balloon-sized shortly. And then she decides to come over and talk to him, assuming he'll be normal. But after that night, nothing was ever normal again. Till the next episode.
I'd do anything for you, Connie.
So Connie asks Bobby to sign some petition or other, and Bobby, he's just over the top, being really, really creepy and desperate. She picks up those vibes, wrinkles her nose just like this, and let me tell you, if you ever see this facial expression in real life, you're done, bro. Just pack it in, like, excuse yourself as soon as possible. I have diarrhea, I need to leave. She can't think you're any grosser, it doesn't matter at this point. So one of the things that Joseph happened to have mentioned in his ADHD-riddled ramblings was that he was throwing a party for the Valentine's girl whose scrunchie he sniffed. And so Bobby invites Connie to go to that party with him. And she says yes, she will go to the party, and Bobby presumes like, oh, that means we're back together, and tries to bring her in for an old-fashioned hug, and she shoves him away. Who hasn't seen this happen, though, in middle school or high school? We're still figuring out our social boundaries and whatnot, but Bobby, he's shifting into beardier waters. It's not going well. Within the course of 10 seconds, Bobby destroys the entire thing, saying, oh, friendship's that for it, so don't say that to me, and I'm your little cuddle monster. It's really creepy. And Connie eventually says,
And we should probably go to the party separately, and maybe at different times.
I do not want to interact with you anymore. So what's Bobby going to do? Have a healthy interaction and let her go, like he did before, or is he going to try and claw her back like a desperate madman? I'm sure you can guess. I gotta say, I'm not surprised by Connie and Joseph's shocked expressions amidst all this, because this has been over the course of one day that he's become like this supreme black-pilled gentleman. Like, I really dislike the road that you're going down now, Robert. Can I call you Robert Hill? You need to turn course. But he's not going to. He has to learn these lessons himself, so that's what we're going to see. And I'm sure it'll hurt me deeply.
Connie, don't leave me!
Dude, is this what I do to chicks?
Overnight, they've done a Freaky Friday and switched minds. I don't know what happened. Joseph had a successful phone call. Bobby had a really bad hangout with Bill. And now they're on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. And I love that self-realization from Joseph as well. Shows that he's really growing up as a human being. Probably into another Dale. And then all this disappears next episode, so I guess it's not applicable. So Bobby comes home from school and has a freak out about the lack of Cool Whip in the fridge. And his parents are like, hey, how's it going? We heard Joseph's having a party because, small town, small street, whatever. Rady street crew. And they say, are you going to ask anybody, Bobby? And he says, oh, yes, Connie. And she said no. So Peggy says this line.
Okay, then she's dead to you. It's time to move on.
And gives Bobby a box of chocolates and says, hey, you should move on. Go for that Willa Harris girl that she's always talking about. And Bob's like, okay, we're going to get out there and do the thing.
Willa Harris is so-so in the looks and popularity departments. She will not say no.
We get some sage wisdom, of course, from Peggy, whose looks matching her son with Willa Harris, who is quote-unquote so-so in the look department. And she would know, because she is a teacher, I guess. So we get a bit of a misdirect here. You think Bobby's gonna call that Willa Harris girl, but no. He calls Connie, and Connie, she can see directly across the street into Bobby's house. And we get a bit of emotional manipulation here.
Why can't you love me the way you love these assorted chocolates?
And then Bobby rips open his shirt and just goes like completely off the rails. I don't even know what he's trying to do here.
I'm sweet on you, Connie. I'm your little candy man.
Candyman to me is a black guy with a bailing hook who comes into your house or something. And that's more what this is reminding me of. So we get a cut to the night of Joseph's party, and Bobby's, he's taking the trash cans out. Things kids do, and he sees Bill's out there still by himself.
I gotta tell you, you're not gonna find happiness in there. I've tried.
Probably blackout drunk at this point. He's relentless. Tries to convince him to go inside and go to bed, which, all things considered, might have been the smarter move. You might notice that Bobby has a whistle around his neck because he's been told not to talk to Mr. Joe Treef anymore. And if Bill starts giving Bobby advice, he's supposed to blow the whistle so Peggy can come out and kick his ass. So Bobby's distracted by Connie and her friends walking by, and he decides not to blow that whistle, and Bill tells him that one thing that he regrets with Lenore was not making that last grand romantic gesture. And so Bobby decides to take that advice. He's gonna go to that party. He's gonna make that grand romantic gesture. And then Bill takes out Bobby's Valentine's candy from the trash and starts eating it with is that a satisfied face? I can't really tell. What I do know is this is the person Bobby's taking advice from, and that's about the worst thing you could do. It's the worst move to make every single time. So we cut to the interior of Joseph's party, and yeah, there's his dad and mom making out in the middle of the room, which I don't know if I'd be too comfortable with that as a high schooler. But despite that, Joseph goes and lays some riz down on his love interest, saying that one time he threw an eraser at the back of her head. And then he's like, hey, Dad, check out, I'm doing a good thing, right? And Dale has this to say.
Nah, not now, Joseph. I'm rounding first base here.
An interesting thing to note here is a part of the nature versus nurture debate. Because while Joseph is clearly not Dale's child, physically, mentally, he is 100% Dale, like, basically all of the time. The comments will let me know what they feel about that, and we'll cut to Bobby waddling up to the party to commit his grand gesture. I think that's the correct verb.
Who wants to fall in love?
So Bobby shows up as Cupid, I guess. He's got one arrow left and he shoots it right at Connie. The fact that he wants to put it directly into her heart, it is vaguely threatening, isn't it? Are you getting more Elliot Rodger vibes? I sort of am.
Ow!
You shot her in the eye.
So Connie runs off to nurse her eye infection, possibly. And then Bobby has a small argument with Joseph, who says that he's ruined his party. Bobby refuses to leave and clings onto the couch, and all the dudes in the party give assistance to forcibly eject him, which I think is the right move, if not only because you're half naked right now. I'd like to know where this costume came from at 8 p.m. on Valentine's Day. Hank would have said, no way I'm helping my boy make angel wings. And then Bobby puts on an adult diaper. Cotton's not even staying with them, but he puts on an adult diaper and shows up to Dale's house. What happened off screen? I demand answers. I'm not gonna get him. We just know Bobby showed up and it was weird and we had to kick him out. So Bill sees Bobby get ejected, thrown over a fence and into a hedge. Bobby's parents are concerned, but Bill does nothing but turn with a face full of sinister glee, and he says the following, knowing that the transformation to Beard is now complete.
Well, Bobby, it's better than wondering what if.
So we cut to the next morning. Hank's out there trying to repair his hedges, and Peggy says she's going to put taps on Bobby's church shoes because he's been asleep for 15 hours, which is apparently some sort of ancient witchcraft remedy that I don't fully comprehend, but it is nice. It's also confirmation that beard metamorphosis is now complete. Peggy says, you should teach Bobby some things about how to pitch woo, and Hank says, yeah, he doesn't really remember, and Peggy has this to say.
I did it all, as always.
Which, again, is another notch of, entitled narcissist, but that's for another video, again. So, with Hank not knowing what to do, he's going to pass it on to Boomhauer, because as much as Bill wrecked him, surely Boomhauer can fix him, right? Wrong. So Boomhauer kisses a lady and sends her off in a bus, and, then we see Bobby shipped off in Boomhauer's car. Peggy comes home. It turns out she got her shoes done as well.
I got mine done too.
Because secretly, she wanted to have it done the entire time. It wasn't actually for Bobby. Maybe it's sort of for both of them. Because, yeah, Bobby does have some Peggy in him too. It's amazing to me how well a kid character can be written.
Ain't no worries, little B. We don't get you back on track. You don't be talking about no secret dang on strong enough for man, but that was made for woman,
Boomhauer informs little B that secret is strong enough for a man and made for a woman, and somehow that's gonna get Bobby back on track. So Boomhauer makes Bobby pledge an oath that he won't unveil the secrets of the pickup artist. Boomhauer pulls up to Shellwin's, which I guess is a shoe store, and calls himself the Fishin' Magician. Guarantees a ta-da at the end of this. Also, he parks his car like a douchebag, which kind of fits with his character. Boomhauer always takes up two spots. I guess it's just perks of being a Texas Ranger, allegedly. Whatever. Bobby doesn't understand the magic quite yet, but he shall soon see. It's a numbers game. So Boomhauer rolls through the shoe store, ladies' designer shoe store, and his line is basically, "Hey, I'm gonna call you sometime." And he gets brushed off quite a few times.
Well, pretty lady, don't talk about it, maybe don't call you sometime.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Boomhauer just being a creep of his own brand, his own caliber. After failing 3 times in a row, he decides, yeah, why not pretend to be a shoe store employee? What could possibly go wrong? Worked for Al Bundy, didn't it? And then, this happens.
Ow, it doesn't fit.
I don't show you something on size boom.
Oh, you don't work here. Get away from my feet.
And look at the look on his face. Jeez. He really is a creep. Hey, I told that girl feet she can't do nothing about it. I already done it. Shame on you, Boomhauer. I guess that's why the guys don't know about any of this stuff. It's a very shameful part of his life. Was Boomhauer the first foot fetishist on TV? Discuss it in the comments. Thank you. It seems to me like Bobby seems through the bullshit, and then Hank happens to be driving by the store and sees Boomhauer's car, and he says this.
Yep, he always takes 2 spots.
See? It's totally canon. I wasn't lying to you. Cut back to the shoe store. Boomhauer found some success. So we learn Boomhauer's secret is basically that it is a numbers game, and he got shot down 23 times before he got the one phone number, but it doesn't matter to him. He doesn't let that get him down. He'll swing at every semi-attractive ball that comes his way, and eventually you get a hit. And as long as you don't, get in your head about the rejections, I think it could work. He is definitely a little bit of a creep. It's certainly not my way of doing things, but it's a proven method. At least when you do things my way, you can quote me as confirming that I've never masqueraded as a shoe store employee in order to get laid. These are new depths we're sinking to, Boomhauer, but I guess maybe it's not the worst place ever. Bobby clearly doesn't have the emotional battery or the callousness for all this. So Hank and Peggy are going through the mall looking for where Boomhauer's secret might be in order to find their child and check that he's okay. Something that they didn't do when they went out two-stepping, but I guess that's neither here nor there. Eventually they do find him talking to Debbie with a Y. And Bobby manages to get some laughs out of her, which makes him feel a little bit better. It seems like our boy is bouncing back. He's going to be okay next episode. Honestly, there was never any doubt. Peggy tries to cover why they're in the mall by asking the shoe clerk for a size 16.5, and Debbie laughs and says, "Your mom's funny too," and Peggy gives her this face, which is just classic. She really does have a size 16.5. It's not a joke. So we cut to Boomhauer getting slapped in the mouth. It's part of the process. Don't worry about it. And luckily, Bobby does seem to have bounced back. He's off with Debbie with a Y, and they're wearing hats and pretending to be mannequins and playing pranks on who I'm pretty sure is Miss Wakefield. And Hank says, yeah, that boy's gonna be all right. Or something like that. So the episode ends with Boomhauer attempting to follow a lady into a dressing room.
Oh, Boomhauer, that's the women's changing room. The men's is over there.
Boomhauer's kind of salty that, yeah, he didn't get what he wanted. There is sort of a reason that you know, Boomhauer doesn't address it directly to Hank. He doesn't want Hank to know the true levels of his degeneracy. He lies about why he's in the shoe store, says he's getting some shoes for Mother's Day. There's a certain level of shame to what he does. He likes the accolades for, you know, getting the mailwoman and police lady and bus driver in bed, but he doesn't want to state how he goes about that. That's why he swore Bobby to secrecy. I think it's interesting that Boomhauer lies to Hank. Largely, my theory on that is because Hank makes us all want to be better people. And I think that's why I enjoy this show and talk about it so much, because it really is a time capsule of, like, the world that I grew up in. Not specifically Texas, but this is literally anywhereville, USA, in a lot of ways. The characters are deep and nuanced. Mike Judge, the man who never misses until you get to, like, season 12 or whatever crazy crap it is. But there's nothing quite like King of the Hill, largely because The Simpsons, Family Guy, other stuff that was going on around this time was large and over the top and had its own set of morals, but was also kind of sardonic. Like, they don't really care about sticking to them as long as it's in the name of the plot. And largely, I'd say that King of the Hill is more grounded and has a firmer grasp on reality, and that's why I think it translates across cultural barriers better than some other things I could mention. You know how many Japanese people are into King of the Hill? It's awesome. According to Parrot Analytics, the audience demand for King of the Hill is 4.1 times the demand of the average TV series in Japan in the last 30 days. It's like a wildfire over there. User Gene Park on Twix says, I love the Japanese King of the Hill fans debate whether to watch subbed or dubbed. Because, yeah, who wouldn't? What do you want your experience to be like? The show is beloved for good reason, and this is one episode that encapsulates it totally. Bobby's looking down the barrel of the Neckbeard pipeline because of Bill, and yeah, it sort of is, you know, a second Chekhov's gun with Boomhauer coming in there and not really saving the day, but putting him in public to the point where Bobby could save himself. And Bobby did. Thank goodness. Children are flexible. He's programmed for like a day or two, and he's like, now I think something else. And that feels a lot better than being down on yourself all of the time. If I can put it into Zoomer terms, I guess Boomhauer would be the representation of touching grass, wherein the experience itself isn't all that enjoyable, but it's the activity that gets you out and about and presents you to the world. Whereas Bill is incels.is or Reddit or wherever you decide to spend the most of your time on the internet doom scrolling. It's never going to make you better. It's just a spiral of hate and depression, and it's one of the worst things that you could do for yourself, your mental health, and thereby all of your relationships. Bobby definitely took it to some extremes. That was some freaky stuff that happened, you know? But part of me is glad that he got to experience it and probably decide that he never wants to be that guy again. So friends, I think that about wraps it. If you'd like to like the video or dislike it, that would be absolutely fine. I really do want to know where my audience sits on something like this. Comments, of course, much more elucidating than the thumb buttons. But I appreciate any feedback that I get for real. I also appreciate my Patreon patrons. Hey! My YouTube channel members. Always doing the most every single time. You'll see some Patreon patron names on the screen in front of you, and if you'd like to join them, or the YouTube memberships, they also get their section of this, then please do it, because financial support every month makes episodes that I find fun like this possible. Like, I really love talking about King of the Hill, if you could tell. So I hope you guys will let me do it some more, and yes, financial support makes a lot of that possible. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I want you to always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.